Welcome back to more Sip2Tally. And on today's episode of the more Sip2Tally Power Rankings, we're going to talk about our number 10 team, the Los Angeles Rams. LA Rams coming off a Super Bowl victory about 2 or 3 years ago. Had the motto of forget those picks, and they're now starting to get to the point where they finally got some picks and they're getting young players in, and they're getting good young players, which has them at the number 10 ranking on this this countdown. So let's dive right into it and see what they have at each position, and let's talk about it at the end and see why I have them at number 10 on this countdown. Starting with the quarterback room. Matthew Stafford is the starter, has revitalized his career since being traded to LA from Detroit. Had an epic matchup with Detroit in the playoffs, which they lost, but still, has kind of turned the perception of what he was around since going to LA. Last year he threw for 3,965 yards with 24 TDs and 11 interceptions. Had a QBR of 95.2. Now backing up Matthew Stafford is Jimmy G, who's suspended for, I'm not sure how long he's suspended for, but right now he's suspended. So when he does come back, you have a guy who can blow games for you as a backup, but has a bunch of experience. And man, that was shady. And also in that room as a third quarterback, you have Stetson Bennett, who was one of the older quarterbacks coming out of Georgia that got drafted, and just has kind of had a peculiar situation since being drafted. He, had a situation that happened in the streets of LA, if I'm not mistaken, and didn't play at all that I know of last year. At least my research didn't show that he played. And right now he's listed as the third QB. But his whole situation is just peculiar. But I hope he's gotten himself together and he's back on the right track to being just football. But that's their quarterback room. And let's kind of move on to what I think are the better parts of the Rams team going into 2024. Let's take a look at the running back room. Kyron Williams, young kid from Notre Dame, had a great season last year. 1,144 yards. What's that? 12 touchdowns. To me, he came out of nowhere. I didn't know much about Kyron coming out, but he had a great season. Made that team go. One of the reasons that team was so good because of how well they ran the ball. Even though, we'll talk about their pass catchers in a minute, but they ran the ball extremely well. And when he was out, they weren't as good as they ended up being. But with him in there, they were really good. They ran the ball extremely well. And to piggyback off that, they went and got one of the better backs out of the draft last year. They got Blake Corum from the University of Michigan. So their 1-2 punch of Kyron Williams and Blake Corum will be extremely good. They also brought in Boston Scott from the Eagles, who has just held on the Eagles roster for a long time. Now he's the third running back in LA. Didn't play much last year. Only had 20 carries for 86 yards, but they got an experienced guy to go with their two young guys in LA. Let's talk about the pass catchers for a minute. Former Triple Crown winner, Cooper Kupp, one of the best receivers in the game of football last year. Season started late. He was hurt the first 3 or 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. Probably the first 5 games. I think right here he played in 12 games, but he finished the season with 59 catches, 737 yards. But his presence led the way for probably the best rookie receiver year ever for Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua had 105 catches for 1,486 yards and 6 touchdowns. That combination of Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua was deadly once he got working. And you paired it with how well they ran the ball. It was tough to defend, and how well Matthew Stafford was throwing the ball last year. They really put it together when they were going. DeMarcus Robinson is another receiver in that room who really had a solid, third receiver spot between him and Tutu Atwell. DeMarcus Robinson had 26 catches. Tutu Atwell had 39. And between them, it had 7 touchdowns apiece. So that's not bad. They also had Tyler Johnson in that room who only had 2 catches, and they drafted Jordan Whittington. So that's their wide receiver room, but they're very top heavy at the wide receiver. And when I say extremely top heavy, they probably had the best rookie receiver ever That's for statistically. And then Cooper Kupp, who's a former Triple Crown winner, so they're extremely top heavy at the receiver position, and they can carry a room themselves. But DeMarcus and Tutu, they're okay. They're okay, and we'll see what we get out of Tyler Johnson and rookie Jordan Whittington. Tight end room. Tyler Higbee, 47 catches, 495 yards. Kobe Parkinson, 25 catches, 247 yards. And then Davis Allen, 10 catches, 95 yards. Their tight end room leaves something to be desired. There's no real star in that room, but Higbee is solid. He played in 15 games last year. He'll be a key contributor to what they want to do, especially in the run game. Also, he's one of the guys that can do both. You know, like I mentioned a couple days ago, there's not a lot of tight ends out there that can and willingly do both. He's one of the guys that will help in that run game, and because they're a special group. They got some tight ends, Kittle and a few others, that can help in the run game and the passing game. When you get guys like that, you better hold on to them. And even if they don't help you tremendously in the pass game, if they can help you in the run game, you can find you somebody else that can go catch passes and sub them out like that. So let's talk about the blockers, the O-line. Left tackle Arlie Jackson, left guard Jonah Jackson, who they brought in from the Lions, center Steve Avila, right guard Kevin Dotson, and right tackle Rob Havenstein. As far as the grades, the right side and the center all graded in the 60s. I'm sorry, the left side and the center all graded in the 60s. The right side is their better side. Kevin Dotson, 84.4. Rob Havenstein, 79.8, but you basically ran it up to 80. So their right side is the 80s. So their right side is their best side, with Dotson being their best O-lineman grade-wise. They're going to run outside zone. They're going to run play action off of that. They're going to run a lot of duo. They're going to run a lot of duo with folding Puka or folding Cooper Kupp in to go get a linebacker. So they do a lot in their run game, and the tight ends and the receivers blocking their run game. So that's important for them. So that helps with that left side not being graded as high, but they maximize their O-line with adding guys into the box. And that's why they drafted Blake Corum to go with Kyron Williams. So their O-line is okay. And then adding Jonah Jackson, that's going to help. Even though his grade wasn't that high, but the mentality and the experience from what he did last year with the Lions, that's going to help that team get better up front. Let's go to the dark side, the defense for the Rams, where they're young, fast, hungry. They're not losing. They lost one of the best football players ever. Aaron Donald retired. So, he was one of probably the best defensive tackles ever to play the game. And I can confidently say that he's going to the Hall of Fame, first ballot, no doubt in my mind. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat box, but I think he won Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. I'm almost for sure 2, but I think he won it 3 times. But let's talk about the guys that got to replace that legacy player that great player, Aaron Donald. We'll start off with the interior guys. They drafted Braden Fisk from Florida State. He's going to be one of the interior guys that probably start. But they also got Bobby Brown and Kobe Turner. Bobby Brown last year, 31 tackles, half a sack. Kobe Turner, 57 tackles, 9 sacks. You got, 9 sacks from a young guy that... My thing with it is, did he get those 9 sacks because so much attention was shown to Aaron Donald, or is he really 9 sack worthy? That's my question right there. That's the conundrum I'm in right now. We'll find out fast. We'll find out really fast. You got a rookie, and you got a guy that didn't play a lot of snaps, and then you got Kobe Turner. As far as your edge guys, you got another rookie. You got Jared Verse, and you got Byron Young. Byron Young had eight sacks last year, 61 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and then you got Jared Verse. Braden Fisk and Jared Verse played together at Florida State. And Florida State's defense was pretty good. They didn't lose last year. Those 2 guys were key cogs up front. We're about to see what this young, this young Rams defense can do. Fisk, Verse, rookies. Kobe Turner, Byron Young, real young, and let's see, Bobby Brown is 23 also. So all those guys are 25 and under. We're about to see how well the Rams built after that Super Bowl and after losing Aaron Donald. Let's go to the linebacker room. They got Ernest Jones, who had 145 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 14 tackles for losses. And then Christian Rosenblum, who had 79 tackles and 2 tackles for losses. So that, their linebacker room leaves you something to be desired, in my opinion. Maybe they draft somebody that can help fill that room. Maybe that's one of their trade deadline pickups. Maybe that's something they look forward to improving in the coming years. We'll see. Cornerback. Their cornerback room, they brought in 2 guys. They got Trey White, who was a long-time Bills great. Didn't play much last year. Only played 4 games. Had 1 interception, 12 tackles. But we know when Trey's healthy, how good he is. And I'm projecting that he's going to be healthy next year. They brought in Darius Williams from Jacksonville, who led the league in passes defended and PBUs. Pass defended, PBUs, same thing. I know sometimes I interchange those words, but they're the same thing. He had 19 of them. He had 19 of them and 4 interceptions. Led the league in PBUs. So they transformed that cornerback room, and they also still have Kobe Durant from South Carolina State, who will be their nickel corner now. He doesn't have to start outside. He can transition to be a nickel corner. And if something happens to one of those 2 guys, Kobe Durant will go right back out there to be one of the starting corners, which he was last year. So, and he had 39 tackles, but no interceptions and 6 PBUs. So they cornerback room is okay. And they took a starter and bumped him to nickel, so I think he'll be all right. And I think that nickel spot fits Durant a lot better than just being one of those outside guys. And those 2 guys they brought in can handle them outside duties. Secondary-wise, Russ Yee, 61 tackles, played 9 games last year. Then they brought in Cameron Curl from the Commanders, who had 119 tackles, 1 sack, and 5 passes defended, who was one of the free agent pickups for the Rams this year. And so with that being said, that's their dark side, their defense going in. They're extremely young. 1 starter over 30. Everybody else 27 and under. Well, Darius Williams just turned 30. Everybody else 27 and younger. So they're young. They're gonna play fast. I think they're hungry. And we'll see what they got, man. But let's take a look at all of the position group rankings, and so I can tell you what they are, what I have them as, and you can let me know if you think it's too high, too low, and we'll see what it average out to be, and we'll see why they're the number 10 team. Quarterback room, number 6. Running back, 12. Wide receiver, 5. Tight end, 22nd. Offensive line, 8. Defensive line, 22. Linebackers, 19. Cornerbacks, 9. And safety, 22. Add them all together, divide them, you come out with 13.88889, and that's why they're number 10 on the more Sip2Tally power rankings. Let's take a look at their draft picks and see how they're going to fit in with this 2024 team. We talked about Jared Verse already. They picked him 1st round. Braden Fish, they picked in the 2nd round. We talked about him already. Blake Corum, they picked in the 3rd round. We talked about him already. One of my favorite pickups in the 3rd round for them, Cameron Kitchens from Miami, who I think maybe can get that 2nd safety spot, but he also got to go through John Johnson too. So we'll see. Cam Kitchens definitely a special teams guy. They got Brendan Jackson, a defensive end out of Washington State. Tyler Davis, a defensive tackle out of Clemson, who can be in the rotation. They got a kicker, Josh Carty from Stanford. Jordan Whittington, we talked about with the wide receiver room already. Bo Limmer, offensive line from Arkansas. And then KT Levinson, an offensive lineman from Kansas State. So their first 4 guys definitely have a chance to play. The first 3 definitely playing. And that's Verse, Fish, and Corum. Kitchens got a chance to play. But they got some depth guys in their draft. But I think they got 2 stars, maybe even 3 with them first 3 picks. So I think they nailed the first 3 picks. And then the rest of them, we'll see how it pans out. But that's the Los Angeles Rams. That's the number 10 pick for your more Sip2Tally power rankings. That ends this week. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next week. We'll start the top 10 countdown, and we'll have 9 through 5 next week, and then we'll finish it up the week after that. I appreciate all that you do. If you have not hit that like button, please do so. Comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll see y'all later. Peace.